please follow us on our YouTube channel, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We've also got other social platforms, Instagram and Facebook. Follow us and comment below. So today we have Natasha here, who previously shared her cancer journey with us. We will be discussing red flags, so Natasha is staying with us today to discuss the red flag topic. So I'm just going to ask the girls what they feel red flag is when it comes to a relationship, which could be any relationship. So Nadia, what's red flags to you?
So, red flag according to Webster Dictionary is a sign that alerts you to either something that is not right, danger sign. So personally for me, a red flag is anything that points out in terms of something's not right. And whether or not that comes in the form of intuition or something that you would pick up or just doesn't add up. So that is a red flag, whether or not it's in your love relationship or in your social circle. Those are those sort of little, sometimes they come very subtle and sometimes they're just direct in your face. So it's anything that just doesn't sits right with you. That's what I think a red flag is.
Natasha?
Yeah, I'd pretty much say the same, really. Anything that doesn't sit right, something that draws your attention, something that's slightly abnormal to the norm. Again, just following on from what you said, yeah, that would be a red flag for me. Something that just stands out, that makes me think, you know, but it ain't cake. But yeah, that's a red flag. That's a red flag for me.
I think for me, I agree with both points. A red flag for me would be something that makes me second guess a situation, which I guess goes along the lines of what both what Natasha and Nausea have said. So yeah, anything that makes me second guess a situation and doesn't sit well with me, makes me think, as you said, it's not cake. That is a red flag to me. Yeah.
So anything that does not make you happy, anything that makes you feel I have to make an excuse, that is what I feel is red flag. Because I have been through a relationship in the past. I made so many excuses for this individual. There were certain things I saw that I was not happy. I knew they were wrong, but I still followed it through, you know, because I didn't want to break up the relationship. And I feel that it was really wrong of me to do that, because what I was actually doing is to make myself unhappy, and at the long run we still broke up anyway. So anything that makes you unhappy, anything that, as Akofa said, you have to second guess whatever the situation is, feel it in your gut. If it's not right, it is not right. Don't think that it's going to change and become better. It will not. It will just make it worse. So it's best to try and, you know, when you see those signs, acknowledge them and try and stop doing whatever you're doing. If it's a relationship, come out of that relationship, or speak to that individual when you see something that is not right and discuss it. In my case, I did not discuss so many things that I found in my relationship because I was trying to investigate it myself.
So you were being an investigator
Exactly.
instead of communicating your discomfort, which ended up being detrimental in the long run.
Yeah. Because what I was doing is, that person was not hurting themselves because they didn't know that I was even investigating. I was literally hurting myself.
Yeah.
And again, even when I knew that the truth was there right in front of me, I was still making excuses for that person. So I feel that we need to stop making excuses and embrace whatever the situation is and try and make ourselves happy. We need to come out of any situation that doesn't sit well with us. We have to come out.
I mean, it is true with what you're saying, whatever, and it comes down to our acronym really, first love yourself.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not as easy to come out of certain relationships, especially when you have dependency like financial dependency and other things, or even children are involved. So it becomes a slightly more complex. So it just strips it right back, I think, if we're talking about a love relationship, a partner, we just have to be very mindful in what you fail to do in your previous relationship, is not discussing it or bring it forward
Yeah.
and then becoming an investigator, hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas probably in hindsight, what they say is it's a wonderful thing because now you'll know that you will have this discussion, that open dialogue, isn't it?
Yeah.
To just see if you can actually work things out properly. What you think about?
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation, I understand. However, we have to put ourselves first because when we make ourselves unhappy, it affects the children. Because that's the excuse we make. We've got children with this individual, so we don't want to let go of the relationship for the sake of the children. Because what you're actually doing is when you feel unhappy, it affects the children too, because the children can literally see whatever goes on in the relationship. And plus, you're telling them that it's okay for them to stay in a situation that is not good.
Yeah,
So you have to show the example by letting go, so that they know that if something is not right, if my mother can do the same, I can do that too, because you're setting the example for them.
And I think it's also about standards, isn't it? You know, people are only going to treat you how you allow them to treat you. And like you say, there are situations, I'm thinking about ladies who have been in domestic abuse.
Yeah.
The perpetrator, so to speak, gets them to a point where they can't think for themselves, you know, tell them things that nobody's going to want to be with them, and it is difficult to get out, but it is just finding that inner strength to try and get yourself out of that situation as best as possible, definitely.
So again, just using myself again as an example, as I said, I saw a lot of red flags in my previous relationship, and I'll just give you some example of the things that I found. So for example, I wasn't able to get hold of him when I needed him on certain days, especially on Sundays. So when I call them, I don't get hold of this person, and I start thinking, why are they not answering my call? Is something wrong? So I ended up having to send somebody to that person's address to find out if they were home, and they were not there, and that was midnight. Again, I'm wasting time trying to do all these things when I know that something is going on. Because this was the first time I wasn't able to get hold of that individual. I found so many things in this person's car, which belongs to a woman, okay? It wasn't mine. So obviously, who is it for? It wasn't for the sister. He said it was from the person he got the car from. And this car he bought years ago. So again, that is a very stupid, reply from him, But I knew that it was for a lady. But again, I just brushed that off.
Because sorry to interrupt you, but it's just that I'm a bit confused. It's like, was it a case where you were in two different countries that you yourself couldn't actually, because it wasn't quite clear if you were in the same area?
We're not in the same country because I lived abroad and I visited home, and this person came to pick me from the airport. So I found those things there. So again, the red flags started from before I even traveled to see this person, because I wasn't getting hold of them on Sundays. And I felt really worried because my concern was, how come I wasn't able to get hold of this person? And this is why I sent somebody around, and I never asked him. And the reason why I didn't ask this individual is because I felt that if I asked them, they'll give me an excuse as they did before. So I felt I need to catch them, and that's why I sent somebody to their address to find out if they were there, but they were not. So when I asked them, the person said to me, why are you checking up on me? So again, they come with this, they make you feel guilty, like you are at fault. Anything that makes you feel guilty, or anybody that makes you feel guilty, know that that person is at wrong. Because if they were not wrong, they will try and explain to you why this thing was happening. But they make you feel you're the one being at fault by sending someone to check up on them.
It's almost like they're breaking down your self-esteem.
Exactly.
And then you get to the point where you start thinking, actually, I'm the reason that this is happening. And you start believing it's something that you've done, and it's okay, and you accept it. And you sit in that situation, because there are lots of people who do not want to be on their own.
Yeah.
So they compromise. Not that it's the right thing, but it kind of sounds a bit like that's what was happening in your case.
Yes, in my case, I did not want this relationship breaking out, because again, as I said, there was children involved. Secondly, we've been together for so long, and also our parents, our family, I would say, knew each other. So I felt like I was letting them down by,
There was more guilt.
so guilt is the, it's a sense of guilt, letting this relationship go. So this is why I held on so long, and I knew that there were certain things that were not right because I wasn't happy, but I was trying to put on front. And this is why I say to so many people, when someone comes to you and tell you things in regards to their relationship, know what advice to give them because you're not in a relationship with them. You can't say to them, come on, make it work, you've got children, you've got family involved, don't break up with this person. Because the only person that is suffering is the person, it's not you. You that is giving the advice is not the one going through whatever the person is going through. So you can only advise them in regards to I know you can only advise them in regards to what they've told you, but again, know what advice you're giving them. Don't push them to stay when they give you signs. They just want someone to say to them, no, it's not all right. You need to try and get out, especially if they're telling you things that is breaking them down. You can't say make it work. I know the roads are not always smooth. There might be bumpy. Sometimes we have to hold on. But again, if it's something that is making us unhappy, we have to acknowledge that.
But with regards to giving advice and things like that, I think you also need to, I'm a firm believer of not being that third person in a relationship. But I think when someone's telling you something, you need to know whether they want validation of the situation or whether they actually want advice. And I think in terms of advice, you need to find out what they want from you. So it's asking them, okay, you're telling me all this, so what do you actually want me to say? Because what can happen is, sometimes you're giving people advice, they're then validating the situation by saying, yes, but X does this and X does that, and then you realise that actually you're now defending the advice that they've given, and then they're bringing it back on you, and now all of a sudden it's become your problem, your burden.
Yes, your fault.
So it's really important to set that boundary in terms of what you've told me all of this, but what is it you want me to say to you?
Or what do you want to do?
Yes.
What do you want to do?
But sometimes do you not find sometimes that even though sometimes I just want to offload and I don't want you to do anything. Because with an offload, it's like you've got an issue, you just want to get it out, and then you just want to carry on living back in the same
So
way.
that's why you need to know, because it's not everyone that wants advice. Sometimes, as you say, it's offloading. Sometimes it's validation. Say, yeah, no, that's fine. My partner's like that. It's all right, and it's not all right. So it's just you need to know what you're saying, because actually, it's time. It could be time wasting for yourself, or it could be beneficial.
It's like that time invested in that energy, that probably loss of sleep or worrying about, is this person, yes I know, but. And it's all those things, and then you still end up, the relationship still end up breaking, and when you could have taken that time to heal yourself or work on yourself, you've ended up now having that, a bit longer. Because now you've gone back to square zero where you're broken, and now you're going to have to start building with your children, if your children are involved, or to get back your self-esteem, to get back, trying to love yourself again. That takes time, and sometimes you will need to have counselling, some sort of support, because sometimes your friends or your network is not qualified to give you the support that you need. So don't look at counselling, because all of these things can have past history that you haven't actually dealt with. And then you're finding out why certain things are always happening. So sometimes just look at it and say, I need help, and willing to take that first step to help myself. And that is the key thing. But